Joining me now from Washington, D.C. is Arsalan Iftikhar, a human rights attorney and author of Scapegoats, How Islamophobia Helps Our Enemies and Hurts Our Freedoms. Thank you so much for your time. Are you surprised that this ban continues to spread?
No, Richelle, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, we have to keep in mind that this is really just the latest in a long history of Islamophobic and anti-Muslim legislation that the French government has undertaken, starting in 2004 with French President Jacques Chirac and his ban on the hijab. What's obviously interesting to note is if you look at the Burkini, it's really nothing more than a wetsuit. And so, it's all about content versus context. A white man wearing a wetsuit is not a problem, but a Muslim woman wearing a wetsuit is. And I find it laughable that, the Burkini would be any more offensive, than seeing a topless woman or, a middle-aged man's butt crack on a beach in France.
So you, sorry. So you do not buy that this has anything to do with security concerns at all?
Not at all. I highly doubt that any sort of intelligent agencies around the world are worried about, middle-aged Muslim women, taking their kids for a swim on the beach wearing a wetsuit. What it is saying, though, it is marginalizing the French Muslim community even more, and that's the problem here. When you talk about secularism in France, what is known as laïcité, it has been specifically targeted disparately to impact the Muslim community in France, which is one of the largest minority demographic groups. And so it's really important for the French government to finally get its head out of the sand. If they do want to address security issues, the best way to do it is to help integrate French Muslims better by, accepting their bona fide religious beliefs and not shunning them and excluding them.
So what do you think the consequences of this might be, of what you say is the continued marginalization of Muslims?
Well, Richelle, essentially this is just a continuation of, the creation of a second-class citizenry in France. You have young French Muslims who were born and raised in France but are being discriminated against in the workplace. They're not being given jobs. They're being excluded from universities simply because they have a Muslim-sounding name. And again, when you have this sort of exclusionary second-class citizenry, that really does nothing for diversity and inclusion in France, but also it doesn't help the security situation in France either. We're not going to have to worry about Muslim women in burkinis committing any acts of terrorism. But again, these terrorists who commit these criminal acts of terrorism point to things like the Burkini ban, as direct evidence of France's attack on Muslims.
Arsalan Iftikhar, thank you very much for your perspective, your insight. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Richelle. Thank you.